luchando. Un educador luchando.
Alakablam!
All right, welcome to the channel, Nature's Reality 360, where we bring you the reality of nature. Today is Saturday, November 11th, and we're talking about the true dangers of climate change. Well, the dangers of protesting climate change is more accurate. All right, so let's jump right into it. Now, when we're talking about protesting climate change, there's a few groups that do it, but one of the bigger ones in the last couple years is called Just Stop Oil. You may have heard of them. If you look into their Wikipedia here, it says they're actually based in the UK. Just Stop Oil is a British environmental activist group. Using civil resistance, direct action, vandalism, and traffic obstruction, the group aims for the British government to commit to ending new fossil fuel licensing and production. So they're against fossil fuels. They don't want any more petrol, any more gas, right? They're all into newer renewable energies, they call them, okay? But it's kind of odd when you look into the funding, being that they're a UK-based company. They're a non-profit organization. They say all their funding comes through donations, but when you look here, it says in April 22, it was reported that Just Stop Oil's primary source of funding was donations from the US-based Climate Emergency Fund. So most of the money comes from America. And when you click on Climate Emergency Fund, it's a little suspicious too. I mean, look, this is it. There's like nothing to it. The Climate Emergency Fund is a Los Angeles-based nonprofit organization that supports climate change activist groups committed to nonviolence, including Just Stop Oil. And that's it. So it's basically a loop, right? Just Stop Oil takes you to Climate Emergency Fund, which takes you back to Just Stop Oil. And when you look at their activities, they often support civil disobedience, and they funded the Inflation Reduction Act that Joe Biden did. Okay. Their funding comes from Getty, who's donated $1 million to the fund, and Adam McKay, who's a film director, and he pledged $4 million to the fund. Now, it's kind of ironic, again, because Getty is actually Aileen Getty. I'm not sure if I pronounced her first name right, but it's the Getty family. She's an heir of the Getty Oil Company, the family that started the Getty Oil Company, a huge multi-billion-dollar company. But I guess she's mad at the family legacy, and she wants to counteract everything they've done up to this point, so she donates money to protest oil. Okay, now if you want to think, well, what has this group done to actually help the environment or help anybody? Maybe they have done some things, but I have not seen any on the news, and Wikipedia doesn't show anything. They do show a lot of protests, right? They do protest. So this is all protest. All this. It's a lot. Now, what do they do to protest? Well, they like to glue themselves to things and block traffic and like defile priceless one-of-a-kind pieces of art. They're really into that. You see here, they glue themselves to like artwork. There. Oh, The Last Supper. That's a good one to glue yourself to, right? No one's going to get offended by that or anything. Here's them defiling someone's artwork here. And that's what they like to do. You know, this is a little more recently. They just did this. Some one-of-a-kind. That's from the 1600s, some multi-million-dollar piece of artwork, right? They do that. They also do this. You know, it's not just the government. They like to protest private companies too. So don't be fooled into thinking it's just the government. This is actually like a Ferrari building. So I guess anyone that uses gas, they don't like it. So they defile their businesses. Okay. This is them gluing themselves to the street. They really like to block traffic, and they glue themselves and cement themselves to the road. And then the authorities have to come like chisel them out, right? And they do it like a badge of honor once they get chiseled out. Like this gentleman here, he's like, changing that weather, right? But things are starting to get a little out of hand, okay? And that's why I'm reporting on this today. So if you look here, okay, some people ain't having it. So this was just like a few months ago, and I remember seeing this when it happened, right? So we're getting some people that are starting to get really tired of this stuff, and you can see here how far they back. This was from like the Burning Man concert. Look how far they had traffic backed up, right? So certain people and certain agencies have had enough of it. Okay, we've seen people getting out of their cars and dragging them out of the road, right? We've seen this police officer here. Check this out. He ain't having it.
Take all of you out. You better move. You're gonna go back. Get out now! Get out! On the ground! All of you on the ground now! Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Don't move! Give me your last name, so who's
All right.
No one has a gun.
We have no weapons at all.
Look, I'm not saying whether I agree with any of these people's antics on either side, right? Sometimes there can be excessive force, but there's also play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right? So I'm not making a stance here. I'm just showing what's happening because, as you saw at the beginning, it gets even crazier. So that was in America, okay? This is another instance, check this out, where people have had enough.
As if you sit down in front of it, sit down in front of it.
That's a great idea, right? You heard that? He said, well, maybe if you just sit in front of the moving bus. I mean, I don't know how smart of a plan that is, but that's what we're working with here, okay? And now that brings us to today's main story, all right? Now, this wasn't just Stop Oil. This was another group. They weren't protesting oil. They were protesting mining, but it was still environmental. Okay, this gentleman here, he was a lawyer in America at one time. Now he's 77 years old in Panama. I'm not exactly sure if he works for the mining company that these people were blocking the road to get to, but he literally said, this ends today. So apparently he's been dealing with it a lot and he ain't having it anymore. And he shot people. And like I said, I don't want to make any stance here, but I do feel comfortable saying you shouldn't shoot people that are annoying you, right? No matter how annoying they are. But on the other hand, I feel like you shouldn't block people from going to work either, or a concert that they probably planned months ahead of time to get to. So that's why I'm reporting on this. It's like, where do we meet in the middle, right? We want to help the environment. That's what I'm doing with my channel. I want to help the environment too. But there's got to be a better way of doing this. I'm not really about defiling multi-million-dollar one-of-a-kind pieces of art that someone else poured their passion into. So that's all. I'm putting the story out there. As you see, people are getting tired of it. He's not the only one. What I wanted to show was the progression, right? It went from people dragging them out of the road to people driving their vehicles into them to now people shooting them. And I don't want to see them get hurt. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. And I don't want to see the environment get trashed either. So I can understand both sides of the argument, but it needs to settle down a little bit. We need to take it back a couple notches. We need to start communicating like regular human beings and not doing all this radical stuff. That's the one stance I'll make, right? Just a little less radicalness and a little more human positivity and communication. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you think he was right to shoot them? Do you think they're right to keep driving through them? Do you think they're right to drag them out of the street? Do you think they should just be left alone? Do you think the protesters are right to block the road, to defile art, to glue themselves to everything? Let me know what you think down in the comments. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Tune in tomorrow for another fun video on Nature's Reality 360. We're signing out for now, but we'll catch you on the next one. All right, thanks for being here, guys. Later.